Welcome back to the Coach Me to Lead show. Today I have, and I forgot how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, Anna. You told me 3 times, and now I couldn't remember because we chatted and I forgot. So please just say your name. It's easier.
Yes, of course. It's not an easy name, so I totally understand. Anna Zoladkiewicz, or just simply Zoladkiewicz, if we don't want to use the Polish pronunciation.
Zoladkiewicz. And
Yes,
then Anna. You say it really
yes,
short. Yeah.
yes. It's Anna, but like also it's easier. Anna, sure,
Yeah.
I'm okay, or Anya. That's also fine.
You have multiple names.
Yes,
And you are from Poland.
correct.
You've studied in Poland, you've lived in Poland for a long time. And I'm looking at the study you did at the Nicolaus Copernicus University. You did a
Yes.
thesis there, way out of homeless programs. So can you? I'm really interested in the parts. Can you tell a bit more about that?
Yes, because I was studying sociology, and after doing my bachelor, I went to do some work, and I was working with homeless people, people who were refugees back then in Poland, and writing programs. And it was quite of an eye opening that for me as a young person, just going from the home that everything was right. So I have everything what a normal human being needs to thrive. To see that there are people who just don't have this simple thing like a home shelter, and not necessarily always is their choice. Everybody has a story, and everybody has some unfortunate events, and quite often there was nobody there to help them, to give a hand, and that was an eye opening and very emotionally draining, because back then in Poland there was no systematic help to actually support those people, to help them to get out of that homeless state. That's why together with my colleagues, we started to build some programs, but unfortunately in the middle of it I've left. But we did the great groundwork, and I know that those programs were implemented, and some people's life have been changed. But I have to admit that that was a very emotional part of my journey as a young person. And like even now when I'm just going back to that, I remember those stories, that they're very emotional and still within me. And then I'm so grateful, and every time when I enter the house, I'm so grateful for having that shelter.
You live now in Amsterdam,
Yes.
which of course is also a world city visited by a lot of people. Also, people who are just wandering about. Um, how do you look at the homeless people in Amsterdam, for example, now?
Well, compared to Poland, they are not visible, like honestly. So they just don't. You don't see them here in the Netherlands, and I'm in Amsterdam. And if they are, then I'm always wondering if there is a proper help to them, because I don't know what's the system, the Dutch system, how it works to help them. But based on what I see, I think that there is better help than back then, and still in Poland. So compared to Poland, I don't see homeless people.
Next to the fact that when you enter your home, that you really feel grateful that you have a roof over your head. What is one of the important things that you learned from that period with working with homeless people?
Don't take things for granted, and create support system, that if you slip, so there's someone there to catch you, because we all have better and worse moments. So if you are in the lower moments, so there is someone there for you. And of course, not to build that support system for those situations, but it's really crucial to have people that you lean in towards them, that they give you what you don't have, or they are just simply say, hey, if something happens, I've got your back. And be also someone like that for other person.
Like we just talked before, instead of building connections, is building relationships.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I've learned that having that support system, that was a harsh lesson when I experienced here in the Netherlands, far away from my family, burnout. And my life changed completely. And without that support that I've built over the years, probably I would not be here and not talk to you right now. So for me, it's just confirmation that that having people around and building those relationships is crucial for our being and for us growing and moving forward.
What elements triggered your burnout?
Oh, there was a few. There was a combination, and how I look at it from the perspective, of course, there were some external factors that I responded in a certain way, right? So for me, it was about a little bit toxic environment. It was about not addressing certain, unethical behaviors, and that some of my values has been suppressed and not honored for a very long time, right? So I was just not necessarily looking inner what I need, but it was just, chasing that success, going and moving faster and wanting more. And looking back, not necessarily that was truly me. So I was not, I was not the best cheerleader for myself, and when those external factors showed up, I didn't know how to handle them properly. I didn't know how to put healthy boundaries. I didn't know how to speak up timely. So there were triggers, and I was not looking for that support in that professional environment. So I was suffering alone, because I felt that I'm a failing, right? That I'm a failure.
I'm not sure, but maybe you want to share what company that was mostly?
It was booking.com.
Right. That was my guess, but I just wanted to make sure that you wanted to share this. And I want to tell you that we also do a book podcast with another person. I do that. And there we read the book and discussed the book, The Machine. It's a Dutch book. It's got The Machine, but anyway, the translation is The Machine, and it's about booking.com. And when you read the book, you feel the toxic environment shining through the stories, specifically in the last chapters, but it started already from the beginning. And when did you determined or were sure that you had burnout? What was it for you that said, okay, now I have a burnout?
Okay, yes, that was a very interesting, specific moment. But of course, there were a few, signs that led to it, which I dismissed. So let's say 6 months before I really said, okay, this is it. I cannot do it on my own. I need help. I had some episodes of panic attacks. And back then I didn't know what a panic attack is. I've never experienced that. So for a long time, I thought that I'm just getting sick. Something is physically wrong with me. And I was going to some doctors, doing some checkups, and just like, okay, well, I'm taking care of myself. I'm running. I'm eating healthy, so everything should be fine. And all the doctors said, like, there is nothing wrong with you physically. There's no signs that there is something off. And then one day, just I ended up, after a whole challenging week in the office in Singapore. I went on Saturday 12 hours before my flight to do some shopping. And I ended up in a hospital because I thought that I'm dying. I really thought like, okay, I'm going to die on the different continent, far away from my family. This is it. This is my end. And again, hospital, they did all the checkups. They just really took care of me very well. Nothing is wrong. And then the doctor suggested that it might be something different and I should look into it. So then I already started slow down, but it was already too late. I was already burning out, and the last drop was when I was waiting for the concert from John Mayer in Amsterdam. I was like waiting for like I think 1 year tickets ready to go, and I fall apart completely in front of the entrance, and I missed the concert. I came home. And next day I just call my manager. I was like, okay, I need help. I need a doctor. I cannot continue like that. And for 3 weeks I was sitting on the couch because I didn't have energy to move. I was sometimes crawling to my bed. I was just operating on 1-2% of the battery of the energy. And as an outgoing person and a person who was constantly traveling, I couldn't get out of the house because there was a fear. So that was the moment that I need help. And I had a luxury to actually to recover. And then I start asking for help and leaning towards those people who were surrounding me. So they were just huge. They took a huge part in my recovery.
Can you describe how you felt back in Singapore when you were in the hospital?
When I was in the hospital, so it was already better, but before, like my heart rate was just like skyrocketing. I thought that I had a heart attack. I couldn't focus. I couldn't speak. I was dizzy. I was like almost fainting, and just completely exhausted. I really could feel that my body is in a constant fear mode. So I'm ready that something horrible is going to happen to me. So being in that hospital and already knowing that physically I'm fine, so I'm not going to die. So that was already a moment. Okay, there is something off, and I need to slow down. I need to just really look inner. What's going on? What is causing those horrible panic attacks?
What I got from the book was that, and I haven't worked at booking.com, so I'm not sure, but what I got from the book is that it is a really hard working many hours environment, and just working as hard as you can. Does the number of hours that you worked, the pressure of working all over the world, was that a part of what caused the stress for you?
I think that not, of course, like at some point it did, but I would say that that if I would be fine with it, because on the rational level, I didn't mind traveling because it was a lot of fun, and that's what I also wanted to say, that booking is not that only evil. It just gave me friends for life. It gave me great career opportunities, and being part of something wonderful. So those are two sides, and that part was maybe more of my response to it, and not necessarily truly taking care of myself. And I'm not talking about having a massage or just like having a weekend away. No, just truly working on my mental and physical well-being while still being out there, right? So being constantly in that office buzz and just like, okay, I want more. And because I didn't feel good enough, so I wanted to prove myself. So I added on top what was required from me. So that's what I say, that is always two aspects of that. So it was certain environment. And of course, not everybody in booking is on burnout, because people are just getting along and it's completely fine. But my response to some of those aspects, that actually was the combination that led me to that state. So I knew that I have to do huge work on myself, because even if I gonna go to other company, probably sooner or later I'll be at the same point, and I knew that I didn't want it.
How long did it take you to feel, and you talked about 3 weeks on the couch, but how long did it take you to feel a lot better? And what did you do then? What was your next step?
Yes, so that might be a harsh and unpopular what am I going to say, but it almost took me 2 years to go back to fully me. And I really took a good care of myself. However, when I was getting better, somewhere around April, May 2020, so that COVID hit, we had the lockdown. So I felt that I'm trapped, because I couldn't see my family. I couldn't see my fiance back then, because he was living in the UK. So there was no flights coming. So I was just here with my fears. So that definitely contributed to prolonging that burnout, because I was not good enough or strong enough to just like, okay, it's okay. It just really added that part of fear, unknown, what's going to happen next, what's now, and how the world's going to look like, and what is my career, what will happen. So that fear of the unknown was really adding a lot to that state. But answering the second part of your question, so I was really going holistically, because I knew that, of course, there's a physical aspect to it, there's a mental aspect to it. So I was working with a therapist, because GP here provided some support in that sense. I was working with my coach. I was doing the meditation. I was working with my physio. How should I properly breathe because those panic attacks, of course, were coming. So if they're coming, so what is the best way to start breathing and to make sure that I don't faint, that I remain with the focus? How is it the right way to go back to the physical shape? Because I was running half marathons, and suddenly going to the shop just around the corner, it's like a Mount Everest trip. So all those aspects, so it's just really going holistically. So it's understanding what I can fix within me in order to fix what I can do internally, that I do not respond to such an external environment anymore. What is the environment that I want to be? What serves me? What does not? What is this my work-life balance? What is the self-care? What it means for me? So all those things, just really going gradually, and then expanding, moving, living, and doing more of what I was enjoying. So if that maybe not necessarily great place to do that in the Netherlands, because I love mountains and I love skiing. So just spending time in the mountains, or just being outdoor, cycling, all those things that were serving and just bringing that joy. That's like, okay, I have that moment that I'm not scared anymore. That this that even if I have this panic attacks, I have tools to deal with it. So I know what to do. I know how to breathe. I know how to calm myself down, so that even if I'm flying, because suddenly flying was an issue. So it's like being in that closed environment, not without possibility to run, was just okay. So how am I gonna move from point A to B? So it's like, okay, let's learn to breathe. Let's just find the right space, the safe space, and feel that you are that you are there. So all those aspects and having the morning routine, gratitude, instead of thinking constantly what I don't have. Oh my God, I don't have this. And everybody is moving forward with their career. I'm stuck. I don't know. I cannot even focus and read a book for 10 minutes. So just read for 5, and tomorrow for 5, and just gradually build that physical and mental fitness again, but in a way that actually suits me, that it serves me. And wherever I'm going to go, I'm not going to respond in the same way to that environment.
And what was your decision at the time about work? How did you look at work?
Yes, so that was the part that I was working with back then with my coach, and so I knew that I'm not ready to go back to that environment, because I know myself and I want to give it all, and I wanted to, when I come, I just really want to perform. So sooner or later, again, I'm gonna sit on my couch again, right? And that's what I don't want to do. So what is the alternative? What options do I have? And it turns out that well, over the 20 years of my experience, and you started with that, working with homeless people, working with the women who were abused. My whole career was about people. So why don't I bring that expertise, that passion for people to succeed, to strive, and make it as a business? And first I started, okay, so let's see if that coaching is for me. So I went to Coactive Fundamentals, and I fell in love. I was like, oh, they give me the tools to actually do that job properly. So I move over those courses. Then I moved to ORSC course, so working on focusing on the teams. And I knew that that's the part, the people, and they're igniting the potential, that they live fully into their potential. That's what I want to do, because what I really don't like seeing the potential that it's wasted. So I want to be there, say, hey, I can help you to ignite that potential, so your life can look completely different from what it's right now.
Mm-hmm. What is the Coactive Fundamentals? What is that?
So it's a coactive coaching, right? So it's about combination of being and doing. So as I'm a doer, so it was also work on myself with being present, active, listening, just really being for that person, and being in the present moment. Because in the past I was living always in the tomorrowland. So it's about tomorrow, it's about the vision, it's about the goal, it's about another OKR, KPI. It's about that future, and being in the present. So that was very interesting concept, and I really love that balance between being and doing.
I agree, and it's one of what I just mentioned before we started going live was the inner development goals. That has like 23 skills in 5 domains, and being and action, that's 2 of the domains. Being is the first one and action is the last one. So it's all part of becoming a person who wants to improve the world, who wants to change the world and make it a better place that we all can live on. So having those skills is just good for anyone, as I see it.
Absolutely. It's I think that it's like, if we go in the mode of doing, then situations or events like burnout happens, because there is not enough being. It's not us being grounded, being present in the moment, and not listening to ourselves, what we really want, what we need, and what is good for us.
So then you started your own company. You became a coach.
Yes.
Conscious leadership. What does conscious leadership mean to you?
That's actually what I think that what we discuss over that 20-25 minutes. It is about the self-awareness. first. So know yourself in order to lead others intentionally. It is about emotional intelligence. It is about understanding the emotions of people who are around you. So it is, of course, emotions and intellect. Again, those two forces being together, understanding that and acknowledging the emotions of human beings, especially in the work environment. Because even if we are leaders, employees, we are human beings. Right, so emotions are with us, and suppressing them, it's not the best way to perform and to do your best work in the company or in your career. And it's about empathy. It's about being that human being. But for me, it's also finding the tune balance between empathy and assertiveness. Because when I talk with some of my clients and with leaders about the empathy, everybody's like, oh, that means I'm weak, or that means that I'm just wishy-washy talking about emotions. It's like, absolutely not. It's not about that. It is about that understanding that emotions, acknowledging others people's state, but also having that assertiveness that even though I understand, I hear you, I know what you're saying, this is the reality and this is what's going to happen, and this is this assertiveness. So this tuning, that's having that balance between empathy and assertiveness. So that's the conscious leadership. And then we also talked about the sustainability and sustainable goals, right? So it is about thinking in the long term of consequences of decisions that you're making right now. So it is like, okay, coming from the place of now, thinking about the future in a sustainable way. So if we talk about COVID, right? How many companies decided to cut the cost, and just like what? Who was most impacted? People, because this is the easiest way to do this. So how can we make visions, agile visions, that sustainable visions for and goals for companies, that if that something like that happen, there is a way of moving forward without impacting individuals as much, right? So that's also part of this conscious leadership, and it starts with self-awareness. If I know who I am as a human being, what I'm standing for, how do I respond in the critical in the moments? How do I behave if we have huge crisis? So you can compose yourself, and it's easier to lead others towards the sustainable goals or towards the future, bringing them that comfort, making a tough calls, and having the communication, right? So for me, it's a ripple effect. Individuals, then it's organization, team, and then of course all of this is translated to the business results.
I'm reading at the moment the book, which is called Leadership is a Choice. It's a Dutch book, which is an interesting book. There's the new version is coming out later this year. This is the version is from 2015, but it's already empathy, for example, is one of the topics that's mentioned with a professional on that part. But there's a lot of those topics coming back in this book that you talked about. So I'm looking forward to see more of those. And another point I I just need to get the book to make sure I have the numbers right, because at COVID, there's a lot of people who lost their income, right? So a lot of people like yourself were forced back to living in the home and lost their job, or at least their income for some time.
Yeah.
And halfway the pandemic, the loss of income of employees was 3.7 billion. Sorry, that's trillion in English, but billion in Dutch. US dollars, right? So it was mostly younger people and female. And if you look at so that was 3.7 trillion. And if you look at the richest people in the world, they became $3.9 trillion richer during the pandemic.
Yes. Yeah.
So I can imagine that next to the fact that during COVID, you are on your own, and when, especially like you, for example, you were living in another country. You had no family close to you. You had no relationship close to you. That was very difficult. And if you also lose your income, it just becomes more difficult. So it's a lot of physical stress, sorry, psychological stress. Um, yeah, I can imagine that this is an interesting time for coaches also now, when young people just coming back from the situation and still feel very lonely. Yeah, missing that time and getting back to work now. So I think it's an interesting time for coaches to talk to these people and help them.
Absolutely. And I think on building on what you said, that a lot of people, a lot of expats, for example, living in the Netherlands during the COVID time, they decided to go back to their countries, because it is about the reevaluation, what is important for you. So it's like, okay, at times like that, family is that safe space, because maybe indeed of the loneliness, maybe because of the losing the income and simply have no place to live. And some people just like said, okay, that's like, what if I'm just gonna stuck here because something like that gonna happen again, and I'm not gonna see my parents, my siblings, whoever is out there important for them. So people said, okay, it's not worth it, I'm coming back there. And that comes back to that supporting system, because at times like that, it's easier and it's better within the group, within the community, and our society is going towards more the individuality instead of the community. And in the situations like COVID, the community has that strength to lift up the individuals who suffered.
Yeah, I agree. And next to your own business, you have also started two other businesses with two other people together.
Yes.
Beyond Sea and Burnout, Prevent, Care, Recover. What I really liked with that part was that you see the 3 steps in your own program. I have to look at it to find them. The red zone, the yellow zone, and the green zone.
Yes.
I thought it was really smart that you've divided these feelings and recovery process into 3 different zones. But can you tell a bit more about that?
Yes. So of course I can talk about it from the individual basis, what this red, yellow, and green zone means. So it is about this emotional landscape. So if we are in that red zone, so we are the worst version of ourselves, right? So we are just like either angry, pissed off, or furious, or completely shut down, right? So then it's like, and there's no control. So you're just like using the metaphor of you're climbing the mountains and you don't have the oxygen and you have no control. Now everything is outside of your control. And what you need to do here in order to put yourself in a little bit of a maybe better zone. So that's this yellow zone when it's a little bit foggy. You have no visibility. So where the procrastination, questioning, being kind of in inner prison states, so it's like, should I not? Is it the right choice? Is it the wrong choice? So what needs to happen then for people in order for them to end up in this green zone of that serene meadow? So where you live up your values, your purpose, happiness, fulfillment. So what is it? So this is kind of how we take people from there. And the first is awareness. So actually, what is happening? Who are you when you're like that? And sometimes it's about giving the name. So for me, it's like I'm like TGV. It's like you have no chance to jump on the train because I'm just going quickly. I'm focused on my goal. I'm not listening.
Just to be clear for people who don't know what we're talking about, a TGV is a high-speed train,
Yes,
which goes from the Netherlands to France and anywhere, but it's a high-speed
absolutely.
train.
It high-speed train is like really from the one stop from the other. There's no stops in the middle, and if you manage to get in, great. If not, you're not there, right? And there's a different stage for different people, and understanding who they are and what they need at that moment, because maybe somebody just needs to get a hug, or just a moment of breathe, or just that I'm going to the meeting room for 5 minutes, or I'm just getting out of the building and I'm just going to scream because that's what I need. So what is it there to just have that moment of, okay, I have no control, but what's next? What is it within my control? How can I move myself? Because we are kind of moving along those landscapes. And as long as we don't stay too long in that red zone, we are fine. And if we are there, so what are the tools to help people to move to the yellow and ultimately green zone?
Yeah, and because I looked at that program on your website, and it looks exactly from what you described now. So to me, by just looking at those images, seeing how you've pictured it with the colors, it gave me the same feeling like you just described. So that's really
Wonderful.
wonderful how pictures paint a story, right? So that's great. That
Yeah.
how you tackled that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, because here is your Coachdotme profile.
Mm-hmm.
And you have this one thing is Poke the Bear is a program for purpose-driven leaders. What do you do in that Poke the Bear program?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's poke the bear. It's I would say that's very intensive and well, no nonsense, or if I may say, like no bullshit attitude. So we were really poking the bear. So we're just really going intensively what it's really not working there. And I'm the coach who I'm creating the space for people to feel safe, but I'm not shying away from saying unpopular things and what I see. And sometimes those truths are very uncomfortable. And this is about that poking that bear. So if I poke the bear, so let's see what it's out there and let's go there. And it requires, of course, the trust and certain courage from clients to go there. But that's what it is about. It can be anything, right? It can be from one of the clients that's thought like, okay, I care about people and I don't think about myself. And turns out that actually it's about herself. It's only about her. And then when we pointed that, so it's like, oh, now we can finally just start moving towards and changing the relationship, changing how she moves forward. So so it is about unpleasant and harsh truth, but having that soft landing. So giving the tools, giving the possibilities to recover and just move forward with that leaving behind or carrying within you. Knowing that that's how you poke the bear and that it's there, right? So it is about this intensive coaching sessions, and I know that it's not for everyone.
With the idea with Coach.me is also habits, how you can use habits to create a better life. And you just mentioned a couple of habits because, like we just mentioned, burnout prevention and taking care and recover. That's one of your companies, but it's also an important topic of you, which is clear after this talk. But how do you use habits with your clients, or how do you use habits in your life?
So I'll start with my clients, and I love having those habits, small things that can be those incremental changes that can be incorporated in daily life, and we can start with starting one of my clients starting a day with really intense, challenging meeting Monday 9 a.m. Well, what's the better day to to start your week, right? And be positive when you know that it's not going to be pleasant. So how can you recover from that meeting and not carrying it with you during the day? So simply just okay, go to your favorite cafe, talk to your favorite barista, have a 15-minute walk, go back to that day, start fresh, dancing off the feelings or just like frustrations, having 5-minute meditation, changing sometimes the sitting, right? Because when today's in the hybrid working environment, many people are just, as we do it, right, from our own, we're inviting people to our home. And for me, sometimes changing even how I place my laptop and where I'm facing, it already changing the perspective. So I don't feel constantly in the same mode, in the same zone. So it's just like, okay, so now I'm going to look through the window, all of those beautiful trees that are moving, and my mood is changing. So if you are a morning person and you want to go to the gym, that's what you need to do. You need to plan your day around that, because I'm not a morning person, so I'm gonna be on my full speed in the evening. So how can I get out of that energy through the day and do something that's gonna serve me, right? And those habits, incorporating really small ones, but just again being very intentional about them. Why am I doing it? How they serve me. And now I'm reading Atomic Habits, and I think that it's a very well-known book for creating new habits, and how easy it is to just really combine them when you want to go run in the morning. So why don't you place your shoes, your clothes in front of your bed? So then you're waking up and you see this first thing in the morning. So that motivates you to go, instead of just like, no, I'm not in a mood. So how can we build that in a very easy way? I love the efficiency. I love the optimization. So how can I help my clients to bring that optimization for the day and build those habits that's going to enhance their potential? They're going to help them to be the best version of themselves at work and their personal life.
I start my mornings with I am a morning person. I can't help it, but it's all my life. I've got up really early, and it's really easy for me. It's no different from the weekend. During weekdays, it's always the same.
Oh, wow.
And I love it. So it's nothing to be jealous about, because I can't do anything about it. It's just how I work. It's just my system. And so when I get up, I start usually with reading. But I also in the weekend I go for a run, and what I do is then I already when I get up, I get into in the running clothes already, so that I'm sitting reading my book in my running clothes, so
Beautiful.
that I know that I'm going to run, because I'm already in the right clothes. So that's how I make sure that I use these triggers for myself as well. This is one example, but reading for me is really important, and just doing it like from the start in the morning. I have my books downstairs in next to the chair that I'm sitting in. I'm making a cup of tea. I'm going to the chair and I'm reading. My pencil is there to make notes while I'm reading. So everything is set up to make that like an automated process, and then afterwards I'm going for a run. Not always, but usually.
Yeah,
so
but
this
I
is how
really
I operate.
love that. Exactly. But this is a simple thing that, like, and I'm gonna borrow that reading in in running clothes, because that's already, yes, I already made decision I'm gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a run. So okay, I'm already wearing those clothes, so there's no need to just stay at home. Yes.
Yeah, and the other thing is, for example, in the evening, I've joined. I'm part of two groups. I'm also part of a running group. So Tuesday evening, I have a training with a trainer with the running group. So, and there's one person who's a part of the same team. He lives very close to me, so we usually bike together over there. So I have almost no excuses to not go, because it's going to be very tough to not go, because I have this friend I'm going with, and also we have the group over there. We are training together, and if one of us is not showing up, probably more of them is not showing up, the group is just getting smaller. So we have like a commitment to each other. So having a group is also a good system to make sure that you feel like accountability to go, and you have less excuses to not go.
Absolutely, like this accountability buddy or a group, right? So again, we are going back to that support. So people who just go, hey, yes, go for a run. Have you been running today? So it's also way to motivate. And I think that it's very crucial also to say something, and I explain it to my clients, because I had to explain it to myself, because you see all those kind of motivational books, and people are talking, yeah, you have to wake up at 5. I was like, no, it's like it's not going to happen for me. Like, if you want me to wake up at 5, you're going to be the most miserable version of me, and it's not going to be fun like, no. So if I can do it, of course I will have my habit. So I just stop looking at my phone as the first thing in the morning, because I'm reading my book, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing some kind of exercise, and then I'm tuning into my phone, because I want to start my day with my own agenda instead of tuning in to somebody else's agenda.
Right. Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we can talk about more, but we also want to be respectful of time. If people want to work with you, I think the easiest thing to do is to go to your page on Coachdotme. When you see the QR code now on the screen, you can scan that and you go directly to your page, Anna G. Also, otherwise you go to coach.me/Anna G, and then you're also on your page. So that's the you can start off with the the tough coaching of you, the bear part, but also
poking the bear.
Poking the bear, but also it's a great way to contact you and to find you. So if that is too direct for you, I'm sure Anna will find a way to do something different with you, because like we just mentioned, for example, with the stress part, with the red, yellow, and green zones, I think it's very clear and nicely put, and everything just, I think that's important, because the number of people who are suffering from burnout or stress phases towards burnout is just increasing a lot. And we want to also, from Coach.me, like build more programs on this, and so that we can help these people. They are in a difficult space right now, and I think that it is that we are right there to help them, and that's what we should do.
Absolutely, and I think that that's also why I'm not shying away, or I'm just really advocating for burnout prevention. And I'm sharing my story, because being on burnout, it can be very lonely and shameful space. So look at, this is the face of the person who survived burnout, and burnout is like, like that thief of staplers who is just like sneaking on anyone, anytime. So has no there's no gender, no race. It can happen to anyone, and it's okay to ask for help. That's what I would say. It's crucial not to sit lonely and trying to figure it out. There are other people who went through it, who can help you, and I can be one of them. So and if not me, then there's plenty of people who can support you if you are suffering from that. So just go and ask for help. Don't stay lonely. It's okay.
So as always, I end this with the part where I tell you that the video and the audio version of this podcast will be published on Monday on the blog.coach.me. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you back next Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time or 4 p.m. Central European Time. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna, for inviting. Thank you for the Coachdotme community for watching and having me here. Have a wonderful weekend or week ahead when it's published, and be brilliant and be yourself. So thank you for having me.